Good morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Me and my friends are having a great time. It's not face to face, it's all online. We're all in our homes, miles away. Love them like my family, what can I say? My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. We've got people that tune in from all over the place, so let's just say a quick hello to those who are here. Good morning out there. Good morning to Robin's Quilt Basket. Good morning, Faker McFake. We've got JBL and we've got Renee Mir. We've got Donna from Minnesota. Good morning. We've got people from Alabama. Oh boy, let's see, North Central Texas. Good morning, Becky. And you know, this is just a fantastic channel. So if you are tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and this channel, we just talk about all things crafting, from knitting, crocheting, quilting, sewing, decoupage, and just so much more. We like to bring all ideas together. So if you're looking for a quick little gift, or maybe you have an Etsy shop, or maybe you have just, you know, a little craft fair coming up and you're looking to make an extra few bucks, this is the perfect place to grab some ideas and learn how to do some things. We sometimes do demos, and sometimes we just have like stitching chatter, so you can play me in the background while you're in your craft room. So welcome, welcome, welcome this morning. Good morning, Barbara from Ohio. We've got the crafty Puerto Rican from Baltimore, Maryland. We've got Boricua Sewing and Craft from Virginia, and San Antonio, Texas. We've got Jenny. Richmond, Illinois. We've got Lisa. Hey, Diane, first time watching from Canada. Well, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining, friends. Awesome. Hello, Heather. We've got Nettie here from New York. Hey, I'm originally from New York too. Well, good morning to you. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic morning. Today's going to be a lot of fun. We're starting something a little bit different that I introduced to you guys yesterday. And this is something that can be very beginner friendly for those who have never knitted or never crocheted, but really would like something to do something new that is kind of knitted. Now, we've done a lot of sewing projects. We've done a lot of quilting projects. So I want to kind of bring in the knitting machines to you. And this is a product that you can use. and you don't have to know how to knit, and you can make the most amazing items. And I showed you quite a number of items that you can make yesterday, from beanies and scarves and purses and little plushies. And I've got a few more that I didn't get a chance to let you know about because we kind of ran out of time. So here's a little collection here of some stuff that I've done in the past. You can do all kinds of things, from little pumpkins like this for all kinds of decor to you've got snowmen. And of course we had our little plushie that you can make for the little grandkids or the kids. So really, really neat. And yes, you can make this even if you don't know how to knit. It's really easy, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do them. Awesome. Good morning. So today is hump day, and one of the first things that we like to do on this channel is have our little toast. So go ahead and raise your glass of whatever it is that you have in the morning. There's no judgment here. Coffee, tea, soda, water, whatever it is you have in the morning. Go ahead and raise that glass, and let's give ourselves a nice little toast. And if you don't have something, don't worry about it. I'm going to pour you a cup. So go ahead and raise that, and let's just cheers to a fantastic day. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll go ahead and toast to that. So, all right, my little club, raise your glasses and get that little swivel going. Okay. Oh boy, feels good. Water, water, water in the morning for me. Yeah, sounds a little plain, but it's good for you. Got to start off with the water, and then I kind of venture off to anything else. Alrighty. So of course we've got our drinks. We've got to go get our snacks. So let's head over. I think I hear the food truck coming down the road. So let's go ahead and grab that. Yes, I can see everyone typing in their chat. They want their snacks. So don't worry, truck has everything that you need. Go ahead and put in your order: hot chocolate, tea, coffee. We've got muffins, donuts, bacon, eggs. We've got pancakes, guys. So go ahead and put your order in. We've got carrots and kale for all the healthy people out there, but you're definitely going to love this, okay? So let's go ahead and grab your snacks. Now, once you have your snacks, guys, go ahead and get into your cozy spot because we've got a lot to talk about today. Alrighty, now that we've got our snacks and our drinks and we're in our little cozy place here, we're gonna get started. So, again, yesterday, we did start to talk about yarns, and we talked about the different weight of yarn that's out there, and we talked about the knitting machines. Now, I have with me my Addi 22, which is my small Addi machine, and then I also have my large Addi machine, which is my 46 pin. But if you have a Sentro machine like this one, this is the Sentro, oops, there we go, the Sentro 48 pin machine. This is totally fine. You can follow us along. You can do it with this machine as well. So this machine's a little bit more budget friendly, but the Addi machines are a little bit more pricier, but I can tell you the quality is much better in my opinion. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to show you, this is the yarn that we're going to be doing our project with. So it's I Love This Yarn is the brand that we're going to be using. And if you go over to the label, again, it's going to give you a lot of information here, right? So first thing you know, it's 97% acrylic. So that's a good amount. And you also want to look, and you kind of just spin it around and you can see everything is here, all the information. You've got 5 ounces. This is 252 yards. And most important that you want to look at is the weight. And you can see that right here. It's a number 4, so this is a medium weight category. And that's the weight category that really works best with these knitting machines. So you definitely want to pick up a number 4 weight. Anything chunkier than that can be a little bit of a challenge. Acrylic is probably the best yarn to use, especially if you are a beginner. But you can definitely, use different ones and experiment with them on your own. Oh, thank you, Cindy. You got us 3 copies. Awesome. You are amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all the support you guys give us on the channel. It really helps us out and gets us to be able to continue to do new things and purchase things so we can show you guys how to do things and make the channel better. So thank you, Cindy. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. Okay, so now that we have our weight category, we're gonna kind of move over into the machine itself. Now, I said I have 2 machines. Now for the beanie, I'm going to be using my 48 pin needle machine, but there's a cast on process that's super important for you to learn how to do. And in order to do that, I'm gonna bring over this smaller machine. This is the 22 pin machine, but it's the same exact process on this one, right? So they're exactly the same on where you're starting out right here. The only difference between the two is that this one's a little bit bigger, but the process is exactly the same. So I really want to show you how to start this off because they can be very tricky. How many needles is best to start like a scarf in a beanie? So the 48 pin has 40, the Addi 46, Addi Express has 46 needles, and that's what you'll need for an adult size beanie. But then you have the 22 pin machine. So if you're doing something like really miniature little things like, let's say, the little head of the teddy bear, this is something that you would do on this machine, right? So it really depends on the project that you are doing. If you were doing a standard beanie, then the 46 pin needle would be the one that you use, or you can also use the Sentro machine, which has 48 pins. That's a great alternative as well. You'll get the same quality coming out on that machine. So, you know, it's for small projects like babies and things like that, infants, you know, you can use this one as well. Okay, but it's going to be very, very small. So always kind of check to see what project you're doing for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Now, I'm going to take the sleeve off. Now, typically, I like to start my projects pulling the yarn out from the middle here, okay? That usually will give you the best results in terms of when you are pulling on it. Now, you can get a yard holder, and unfortunately, I think I left it at my mom's house, so I don't have it with me, where you're able to kind of have the, it's like a little stand, and it'll hold the yarn for you here, and then you can end up pulling. But I don't have it with me, so I'm going to show it to you without it, but when I do get it back, I will show it to you guys. And so I like to start in the middle only because when you start in the middle, it kind of doesn't tangle as much. And I'll show you that right here. See, so you kind of pull in the middle. But sometimes it's hard to find the middle. And some people prefer to pull the yarn from the side here. So either end is totally fine. I just find it easier this way, especially when I don't have my yarn stand with me. I find it easier to pull from the middle and it's less of a chance of it getting knotted. So remember, it is yarn. These are fibers, so they can tangle up if you're not careful. And sometimes that'll happen in the middle of you cranking your project. Sometimes if you kind of let all the yarn out, it'll tangle up in a ball in that scenario. So you want to be careful with that because you don't want that to happen. You can get a yarn bowl, but for this size scheme, the way it's kind of labeled doesn't really fit very well in a yarn bowl. If your yarn comes in a nice ball, then you can put it in the bowl and that does help. But for these schemes that are like this, I usually put it in my yarn holder or I'll pull it in the center here and I'll pull out just a few strands at a time, and then as I go, I will pull them out more. So I try not to pull it all at once because they will tangle up on you and you don't want that to happen. Okay, so here we are. Let's get started on the cast on process. So if you are using an Addi machine, when you start to crank your machine, you're going to notice you have white needles all the way around, and then you're going to have 3 black needles on here. Okay, those 3 black needles are where you are going to begin. Now, I personally like to kind of mark my machine, and you'll see that here. I just took a little tiny marker, and let me just double check because they're kind of hard to see here. Okay, so we've got, let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay, we've got our white needle here, and we've got our first black needle here. You can see a little dark mark that I put right here. I just did that with a Sharpie. Just go ahead and take a little Sharpie or something, you know, if you don't want to mark it with a Sharpie. I like to, just because it makes it easier for me to see, you know, darken it up just a bit. And that's just an indicator so that I can see where my last white needle is and my first black needle is. So as I'm cranking around, I can see it coming around, and I'll know that it's kind of on its way, and I'm almost done with that round. So that's just an indicator for me that I like to do. And then as you continue to turn, you notice all the needles start popping up and then they come back down. Well, you have to kind of understand the mechanics of how the machine works. So as the needles are rising, it is going to grab your yarn underneath this needle here and pull it back down. And then as it goes down, it's going to kind of pass through these little red, see these little red pins? They're like little prongs that are sticking up. That's what it's going to pull it down in. And so then the white needle will sink down to the bottom. And so you can see as it does that, that is what starts to begin the pattern. And this is where you have to just kind of keep your eye, because sometimes the yarn doesn't sink down all the way. And you'll see these little red bumps, as I call them. You just want to make sure that your yarn will go underneath this, and that way the needle catches it and it goes underneath as you continue to spin. So casting on is really simple. It's really, just think of it as a weaving motion, okay? Just think of it as a wave going up and down, and your pins are in between. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to bring this over here, and I'll bring it over to the desk cam so that you can see it close up in just a minute. So the first thing I do is kind of line up my first black needle. And what I want to do is open my casing here, and I'm going to take my yarn, and I'm going to do about, I would just do about this much here, maybe about an arm's length. That's totally fine. So just go ahead, and I'm going to bring this here so you guys can see. There we go. So you're going to bring this here, and you're going to put your yarn inside here. And then you're just going to do cast on. So cast on will require you to kind of hook. So you want to grab that first black needle, have it all the way up like that. And you're going to hook your yarn right underneath, just like that. Okay, that's the first thing you have to do. Then I'm going to drop the one that's inside, which is not attached to anything. So this is my loose yarn, dropping that. And then I'm going to weave. So I'm going to turn my handle slowly, and I'm going to move my yarn to the back of this needle. And then I'm going to continue to turn slowly and move it to the front of the next needle. And this is what I mean by my wave. So now I'm just kind of going back and forward, back and forward. And I just continue to move along. This is the cast on process. And once you really master the cast on process, you are on your way to just doing all kinds of projects. This is where especially new beginners come in. They get so confused with the cast on process. They don't cast on correctly, and their project falls apart, and they get very frustrated, and then they don't like knitting anymore. But trust me, if you understand your cast on and you understand your cast off, that's all you really need to understand. The rest of it is just cranking away and knowing how many rows. And then you can get into more difficult type patterns and doing loops and things like that. Now I have a really super detailed video on casting on and casting off. So if you need some additional help and you want some really better camera angles, go ahead and check out that video, because I do it very slowly with a camera right up front, so you can see that. But this is what we're doing for right now. So as you can see, I am just cranking with one hand and moving the yarn with the other in that wavy motion, okay? And you're gonna keep doing that all the way till you get to the end of your round. And so here's my first black needle again. And so what I'm gonna do now is pick up my yarn and put it inside my yarn gauge and go ahead and put it inside this little loop here. And I'm gonna go ahead and close it. And we are all set to begin to start cranking here and begin the project. So when you are doing the cast on process correctly, this is what your yarn should look like in the machine. Okay, so just take a quick glance at that. Okay, so it is like every other needle. It is not in every needle, it's every other needle, and that's what it looks like here. Okay, so that is a correct cast on process. And so now let's talk a little bit about the tension, right? So of course we've got our machine set to the round. So we've got circular knitting, you've got the little handle pointed down. And so you always want to make sure you start off with that if you are doing a beanie, right? And so now that we've got the cast on process done, the tension is going to be something that will show on your project. Some people do very light tension, some people do very dark. For beanies, I just kind of gently let the yarn glide through your fingers. Like, I do hold on to it, but I'm not grabbing it, right? I'm just letting it flow through my fingers, and as I let the yarn flow through my hands, I'm just checking for knots. Because there can be knots in the scheme. That does happen sometimes with the manufacturers, or sometimes people, you know, will return yarn and they have put a knot in there. So unfortunately, you know, it does happen. But if it does, it's okay. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't finish your project. You totally can do it if you even have a knot in there. That's totally fine. So as you let the yarn kind of go through your fingers, you can kind of just practice just by pulling on it like this, see? Just let it go through your hands and don't press down on it or try to prevent it from going through. Just let it flow through your fingers and just feel. You'll know if there's a knot because it'll feel totally different on your hands. And that's something you kind of develop as you go. So you kind of know what the yarn feels like, and then as soon as you feel a little bump, you know that there's a knot or something there. And so you'll just check, stop cranking, and then just check. And you'll always want to do that in your hand before it actually gets to the machine. So that's something that you can keep your, you know, keep your awareness on. And so I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to go ahead and then just holding on to the yarn, you're just going to kind of continue to crank away. Now, the Addi machine comes with the clamps, right? So these are the clamps that you can put on your table. The way the clamps work is just that you would clamp it onto the bottom here, and then you would clamp this onto the table. That'll keep it really secure, and that way you don't have to have it, you know, on a tabletop like this. Because the issue with that sometimes is you're trying to crank, you're trying to hold the yarn, and then your machine's sliding all over the place. So you want to secure it down. So you want to be able to kind of take this and anchor it to your machine here. Hang on, hard for me to do it when I can't see back here. So you're going to anchor it like this, and then just anchor it to your table, right? And then you just kind of use the screw to kind of move that up and down and tighten it up. So that's going to anchor it there, and that'll keep it nice and solid onto your machine. If you're using the tabletop, I mean, for now, I can just kind of grab one of the legs and just hold it as I crank. But then, you know, I'll use my little pinky or something to hold the yarn. And then you just begin cranking away. And as you crank on the very first round, sometimes the machine may be a little choppy. So you're wondering, uh-oh, what am I doing wrong? Don't worry, just keep on going. It can be a little temperamental on the first round, and then after the first round, you're going to see it's going to become nice and smooth. And so then you're going to be able to continue going. So now don't forget to pull out your yarn as you go. Just kind of pull out enough for a round or two and kind of leave it on the table or off to the side, just somewhere there where it stays nice and clean. Those clamps would keep me out of my hubby's shop. Yes, it will. It definitely will. Now, some people have been very creative in terms of setting up a station for their Addis or Sentros, because what they've done is they've used the clamps and they'll maybe get like a TV tray table and they'll put it on that and they'll clamp that to it. And then they've gotten their husband to kind of drill a hole in the TV tray table, and the hole will allow all of the yarn. As you continue to crank, it's going to get longer and longer, especially if you're making a scarf or something like that, and it's going to really go down. So if you have a hole in the middle, it'll allow your project to kind of flow through. Do you ever have to oil the machine? I can tell you there's a lot of controversy on these machines. I have not oiled my machine. Haven't had a need for it just yet. My machine has been working completely fine for years and I've never oiled it. Some people have, but I've seen on YouTube videos of people doing it and they're using the wrong grease. You can do it about once a year if you'd like. I haven't had a need to, because I use my machines every season and they get used a lot, and I haven't had any issues at all. But if you do, you need to be very careful. So the grease or the oil that they use on some of these channels that I've seen, they're very harmful to the plastic itself. It will break down the plastic. So if you are going to use it, you need to use lithium grease. That is the grease that works with these plastics, not the ones that some of these, some people on YouTube were trying all different things and their intentions were good. But you need to understand with the materials that you are working with. These are these plastics, so you don't want to use those types of things. And these machines, especially the Addi machines, can be quite pricey. So I haven't had a need to do it, but if I do need, at some point it looks like I'm going to need to, do your research on it. And I had Mr. H do my research for me on this one because it was a little controversial out there. There's a lot of videos of people telling you to use different greases, and some of them are incorrect because you cannot put just any kind of grease or oil on these because these are a plastic and they can be quite pricey, the Addi machines. So I didn't want to just kind of open it up and do that. But there are some videos out there where they do open up the machine and they grease them and they put them back together. I haven't had a need for it. Mine have been completely fine. Haven't had to do it yet. At some point I probably will, but you definitely want to use lithium. You don't want to use any type of other grease on there because you can damage your machine. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness, you got a new machine coming soon. Awesome, yay. And Evelyn, you brought 3 coffees for me. Thank you so much, Evelyn. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you know, you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I really hope you guys enjoy the content that we bring you. You know, we use any funds that we've received for you guys, we use it and bring it right back to you guys with some stuff. So I hope you guys really enjoy that. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you guys enjoy the content. So I hope that you guys are going to get into getting some of these machines and doing some projects with me because they are really a lot of fun. Okay, so like I said, we've got our yarn here and we're taking out, I mean, this is how much yarn I've taken out, and I'm using just the small machine. So when I use the larger machine, I take out a little bit more. So this is how much yarn I took out. And then again, I'm just holding it with my hand, letting the yarn run through my hand, and then I'm going to crank away. Okay. Now, you have a counter here, and I did forget to mention this. So you've got a counter here on the side here, on both of the Addi 46 as well as the 22. You've got the counter, it's right underneath here, and the counter will tell you how many rounds to go. So when you do your cast on process, and I should have done this before I started cranking, after you've done your cast on, when you finish and you've looped, you've gotten back to your first black needle, and you take your yarn and you put it in the yarn gauge. At that point, before you start to crank, go ahead and go to your counter and set it to 0. And you set the counter just by kind of, can you guys see that? It's kind of hard for me to angle it here. Let's see, can you see that here? So I'm just going to go ahead and just set it to 0, okay? And then once you have it at 0, then you can go ahead and you start cranking away. And this will count how many rows that you have already made. So now when you get to your black needles, when you are cranking, the counter, you'll hear a little thump like you just heard there, and that's what's going to trigger your counter for another. Let me see if I get it this way. There we go. Kind of. So as I get through that black needle, you're going to hear the little thump, and that's when your counter is going to count that row. And so then you can just kind of keep going on here. I'll try to crank this way. A little awkward for me, but see my needles coming along here. And here's another black needle. And there's the 3, and you see it's already turning to a 2. And there's that little thump. So that's when another round has been completed. And then you will just continue to go round and round. And depending on your project, you will know how many rounds you need to go. So I wanted to kind of show you that on the small Addi because it's a little easier, as you can see, kind of bouncing back and forth between the desk cam and here. So I just wanted to show you that. That is the most important part of knowing what to do to make a beanie. And I wanted to show you that on the small machine. Now, to save us some time, I have already gone ahead and started to crank away. I've cast it on, and I've just been cranking and cranking. And right now, I'm at about 101 rows on here. So what I'm gonna do here, and I'm hoping you guys can see that. Okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and see something here on the end. Let me get this away from my project. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this yarn with my hand here, and I don't have my machine clamped. I have a piece of wood here that's gonna help me kind of hold it down so that you guys can see everything. And I'm gonna just go ahead and start cranking. And then I will go to my skein here and just pull out enough for me to be able to continue to crank. Now for a beanie, it's kind of up to you how large you want the band to be, right? So I typically do for a beanie, I will do 120 rows. And when we're done, you can see what that looks like. And if you want the band of the beanie to be a little bit wider, then you would just do more rows. You can do about 130 rows or 140. I think 120 rows is good enough, and that will allow me to really get the kind of look that I like. It also will leave enough room that maybe if you want to embroider on your beanie, you can do that as well. And so that is something else that we'll talk about, is what you can do with your beanie afterwards, right? You've made the beanie, but there's still more that you can do to customize that beanie. And one of the things you can do is you can embroider on it. And you can use your knockdown stitches, because this is kind of a plushy type of yarn, right? But you can also embroider on it and do things with that. And I've done that quite a number of times with some people that just like to have their initials or a little flag on it, or just a little tiny logo or picture, you know, whatever it is that they like on their beanie, you can go ahead and do that. And that's a kind of a big seller if you have a little Etsy shop, or maybe you will have a craft fair coming up and you want to go ahead and put something on the beanie to just kind of customize it. So you can do that as well. Okay, so let's see here. I am at 106. Where do you get your patterns? Well, Barbara, a lot of these, there's several places you can go, but a lot of the ones that I've done, either I have gotten it from books or just trial and error. Sometimes you've got some other channels out there that are specific for yarn, and they may have some as well, but just going through the internet on Etsy as well, they have them out there. It really depends what it is that you want to make. There's people that have tons and tons of videos out there, I'm sure, but some of the stuff I kind of, it's mostly trial and error for me. Like, I'll get an idea from either a book or someone that I've seen do it, and then I kind of like to put my own spin to it and make it a little different, and that's kind of how I roll on these. But once you make one thing, it's kind of like when we were doing the little country pants that we did, was it last week or the other day? For that one, you know, you see it in the store, you kind of dissect it, put your own spin to it and figure it out. That's what I've done for a lot of these, and it's just playing around with it. But if you're looking, I've got a bunch of videos out there for all of the things that I've done here. I pretty much have done a video, I think, for all of them. There may be one or two that I don't. But if you don't find what you're looking for, just reach out to me, and I'll check to see if I have something that you can watch to help you along. But I like to, the most important thing that, you know, information that you really need is like the number of rows. And then if you're looking for a specific technique, there's tons of things out there too, where you can do wraps and you can do different styles for your projects. So that's something that you want to look into. Now we're at about 114 rows. And one thing I also wanted to point out is, as you continue to do your rounds, your project will get longer and longer here. And one thing that I do, and kind of pick it up a little bit here, is I like to kind of roll it on itself. And this is so that your tension doesn't get distorted. So you want to kind of roll it like a donut, right? Now, like I was mentioning before, if you have that tray table and you can get your hubby or someone to cut that round hole in the middle, then your project would just drop and you wouldn't have to do this donut. But if you're working on a tabletop like I am here, you don't want your project to touch the table. Now, why? What is the big deal about the project touching the table? Well, if you think about how the machine works, everything is about tension, right? You can find your project touching the table, but what that's going to do is that the yarn, since it's touching the table, you can see the difference, how it's kind of hanging up now. Well, now the needles themselves, they're kind of working with the gravity as the yarn is kind of pulling it down. You can use some weights as well, but if you don't have weights and you're just doing this beanie, you can use the donut. And as it pulls it down here, it just ensures that the yarn is underneath all of these red bumps and is working accordingly. Well, if your yarn is touching the table, it'll distort that tension. And so now it's not pulled down as much. There's no weight to it. And so you can start to see sometimes you'll get tuck stitches or drop stitches, things like that. So you want to make sure that your project has nice, even tension all the way around. And so that helps it out. And so as it continues to grow, I just kind of go underneath and just roll it on itself. That's all you need to do. And it'll be totally fine. Just try to keep it lifted off the table. If it touches the table for like 1 or 2 rounds, you'll still be okay, but you don't want to keep that there touching the table as you're cranking, because again, you want to keep your tension nice and smooth. Is it harder to cast on or cast off? I can tell you, I think casting on, once you got it, it's really simple. Casting off, I would say, can be a little tricky because you can miss picking up one of the needles or drop them. So that one, I would have to say cast off is probably just a little harder, but they're both pretty easy. You just gotta kind of stay focused on what you're doing. I'll show you how to cast off in just a moment. We're almost there. We're at 118 rows and we still have 20 minutes. So let's kind of move this a little bit more. And I want to make sure I have enough time to show you how to make that beanie, because super, super simple once we cast off. Okay, I'm at 119 rows, and now I just kind of gonna give a little glance to see where is my black needle. And so I'll kind of slow down a little bit as the needles are popping up, and I'm looking for my black needle. And there it is. And so I see it is coming up on me here. And you can see here, look, I got a little bit of a knot. See that? Little tiny knot here. No big deal. I'm just gonna undo it. And it happens because, you know, you just kind of pull it and you're fine. Okay? So it happens. So I'm at my 120th row and I'll just let it click. So I'll let it go past the 3. And there we are, 120 rows on my counter. And I'm gonna just kind of take the yarn here. Again, a little about arm's length. That's a little excessive. You don't need all that much, but I'm gonna use it anyway. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut my yarn, okay? Now, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna grab a little darning needle. Now, if you buy your Addi machine, it does come with the darning needle. So you don't have to worry about getting one because you already have one. And I'll show you the one that it comes with. It's actually one of my favorites because I do like that the darning needle that it gives you has a little bit of a bent tip. And I'll show you that in just a second. So this is what it looks like. And you can see that little bent tip here on the end. That's going to help you. So if you don't have the Addi needle, maybe you have a Sentro, you can use any darning needle that is flat, but the ones with the little bent tip just gives you that little bit of extra help to cast off. So what I'm going to do here for my cast off process is I'm going to grab my yarn, open up my yarn feeder, and I'm going to hold my yarn in the middle here. I'm going to go ahead and close this and just hold on to your yarn in the middle. And then you're going to crank 1 round all the way around. So we're going to come right back to this black, the last black needle and the first white needle here. So let's just crank all the way around. And what you're doing by doing this is you are releasing the stitches. Okay. You're going to do this nice and slow. And then here we are. So there's the first black needle. We're going to come to this one right here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the end of my yarn and I'm going to put my darning needle in here and just go ahead and thread it. So you've got your darning needle attached, and now you're just going to pick up your stitches. And what I mean by picking up my stitches is I'm going to go around to each little nook here. And you're going to have the 2 red pins, and you're going to have the yarn around those 2 red pins. You're going to go ahead and pick it up underneath, just like this. And let's kind of, it's going to be a little tougher to show you because it's a little bit bigger machine. So let's see if I can slide it under the desk cam here. Okay, so here we are. Okay, darning needles. I'm going to go in here. And I'm going to go in between these 2 red pins, and I'm going to pick up this stitch here. And because of this bent tip, it actually helps me to pick up the stitch a little bit easier. I can't see what I'm doing here, so let me just bend this to get back to where I was. Hold on. Let me just grab it. It's kind of hard when you can't see what you're doing. Okay, here we go. So I have picked it up here, and then all I'm going to do is pull through. Now, be careful, do not pull up on here, because all of these are live stitches that can come off. So what I like to tell my beginners to do is go ahead and put your finger on the next one and then pull. Pull directly this way. Go ahead and pull, pull, pull all the way. Then come back to the inside of the machine and you're going to pick up the stitch again. So your stitches are being picked up from the inside out. So go in here and pick up that stitch, and then put your finger on the next one and pull through. Okay, and your yarn might get caught up here, but just go ahead and pull, pull, pull all the way through here. There we go. And then you just do the next one, and you'll keep continuing to do that all the way around till you get through the entire row and get back to the front here. Now, as you get more and more advanced at this, you'll be able to pick up more than one stitch and then pull. And so it makes it a little bit quicker. But for beginners, that's how I kind of recommend on how you do that, just to make sure that you don't drop any of those stitches. And so you can kind of angle the machine this way, like I do here, and then I will go ahead and I will pick up a couple of stitches, right? So I may pick up 2 or 3, and then you can kind of hold and pull. And I'm going to move this down. And then I'm just going to go ahead and keep picking up stitches. Okay. And then pull. And make sure you don't get caught up here. There we go. Just pull through. And then what you can do is, usually I will have this centered this way, and then I will just, you'll start to see that your project's going to start coming off. And then you're just going to continue to move it towards you so that you can see what you're doing. And then just continue to go again. From the inside out, pick up that stitch. And so you can pick up a few at a time once you start feeling comfortable and pulling through. And then I just crank it towards me so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. So once again, picking it up. And this is where I said it's a little bit more difficult, because you can forget to pick up a stitch, or you can drop one easily. So that's why I'm saying this is not hard. It's just you got to pay attention and make sure you're picking up all your stitches in the right order, right? You don't want to jump around and pick up another stitch. You want to pick them up right in order. And so you'll just continue to do that. And you'll see, you know, your project is coming off. And you just kind of continue going down the line, picking up the stitches and pulling through. Okay. Yep, we have one that got cut up there. There we go. And just continue to go. And we're almost there, guys. Almost there. It goes a little faster when you pick up more than one stitch, but I wouldn't recommend doing that on your first time around. Make sure you're really comfortable with the process before you start doing that. But once you are comfortable, it just makes it a lot easier and you go a little faster here. So you keep going, and we're getting towards that end here. Here we are. And we're towards the very last of it. Okay, just got a few more to go. All righty. And I'll do one last stitch. There we go. Pull through, and now my project is completely off of the machine. So now you can kind of just set your machine to the side here, because we are done using the machine and you're pretty much done on your beanie. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle off. Just put that to the side. Okay, you've got everything here and you've got that little donut looking thing going on, right? So I want you to unroll that donut. And the first thing you want to do is just kind of lay your project down flat. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a stretch, just a little bit of a tug here and there. And all you're doing is tugging it lengthwise, but you're also tugging it widthwise. Just a gentle tug. And you're just setting your stitches there. Okay. And there you go. Now, doesn't look like a beanie, right? But it is. It's just now just something really easy that you're going to do. So all you're going to do now at this point is you're going to start to kind of pull this together. Sue's asking, how tight should you be pulling the yarn when picking up the stitches? Not too tight, just a gentle enough for you to have it on the needle and away, like so that you can pick up the next stitch without any issues. It doesn't have, you don't have to worry about being tight on there because you're going to tighten it now in this process. Your focus when you're doing the cast off is just picking up that loop and putting it onto your needle. So all you're doing is creating this casing here. Because when you pull this, this is what's going to create the beanie. It's going to gather up and create that little star on the top to kind of pull it together. So don't worry about that just yet. But Tina says, when I make a hat, I put a box under the machine to catch the hat while it's being made. Yeah, some people will do that. Yeah, so it doesn't touch the floor. If you're doing a TV tray table, I mean, this is the length of 120 rows. So it's not too bad. When you're making scarves, I do usually around 200 rows. So that's going to be a lot longer. So yeah, you can put a little box under it so it doesn't touch the floor. So you can definitely do that. Okay, so what we're doing here, we've stretched it out lengthwise, widthwise. I want you to go ahead and double this up. Okay, I want you to start taking this side here with your yarn that you just cast it off on and go ahead and give it a tug. And you're going to see it's going to start to gather here, okay? So you're going to start to see a little hole here, and it's going to start to gather and close up that hole. I want you to kind of close it, but don't close it all the way just yet. Let's go ahead, and I want you to turn this on itself and bring the two, or you can do it the other way too. Either way, it really isn't going to matter. Just turn it on itself here and get the two ends together. So you have the two open ends on one side, right? One that's semi-closed because you just pulled it, and then you have the other one. Go ahead and start pulling that one too. Okay, so you're going to start gathering that because as you pull it, it will start to gather and close up. And so now you're going to have two. You're going to have your inner one, and you're going to have your outer one, okay? Don't worry about this end. We'll deal with that end later. Go ahead and take the inner one and close it all the way now. And as you do it, kind of adjust the yarn a little bit just so you get a nice clean close. And so you'll see here, let me bring it over on this side so you guys can really see it. So now I have closed this off, and it's just by pulling it, you've closed this one off completely. Okay, you have a little tiny hole there, and we'll address that in a second. Then you've got the outer one. So you're going to go to that, and it'll kind of roll up on you. So just kind of unroll it, find where the end of the yarn is, and then go ahead and pull that one. It's going to close right on top of the other one. And just kind of, you know, play with the yarn, make sure you get to the ends of it, and then go ahead and continue to close it. And then grab both yarns, put them together, and just pull on both. You want to completely close with the inner yarn and the outer yarn. Just completely pull that, and you're going to have this little tiny hole that's left, right? That's what you are securing. And so we're to the point that we can't pull anymore, and we still have this tiny, tiny hole here. what I want you to now do is tie a little knot. Okay, go ahead and grab this and just tie a knot. Make sure it's nice and tight. Give it that nice tug there. And then just do another one. Just knot it so it can't move, okay? Make sure it's nice and tight, and then go ahead and do the knot. You could do a third knot if you'd like. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so now you have this knotted away. And so you have the other side that's just loose here. And we're going to come over to our table here. And I want you to just reach in with your hand and kind of pick it up like this and let the rest of the yarn just kind of drop on your arm here. So you have a nice smooth little piece right here. And then just go ahead and put it on the table. And then you're going to fold it over and you've got your brim. Okay. So there, my friends, is your beanie. Now, we still have the tail here on the top. And what you can do, you can kind of decide which side you like, right? At this point, you can see this side here, or you can pull it over and do it from the other side, whatever side you like. This is what they consider the wrong side. This is easier than loom knitting. Yes, yes, Beverly. It is actually. I have a couple of looms and I've tried with it. It is easier than loom knitting, definitely. Lisa says, I do the same at my job, but your job is a lot more fun. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And so here it is, you know, you've got your beanie here. And so you're left with this kind of threads here hanging on the top. Well, now you have to decide if you want to do the pom-pom or not. And you've got a lot of choices of pom-poms out there. You can purchase a pom-pom, or you can kind of make your own pom-pom, right? You can definitely do that. So I've got a couple here that are some options from Amazon. You can get a big bag of sorted ones. And they all have kind of a little ring on the bottom. And they're kind of hidden with all of this in here. And you can see it here. I've got 3 different ones. So I've got this cream colored, I've got a brownish, and then I've got like a tan mix. So I'll leave them here. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Let me know which one do you think I should use for my beanie. Just type it into the comment. Number 1, which is this one, number 2, this middle one, or number 3. Let me know which ones do you want me to put here. The cream, the brown, or the tan mix. Oh, actually,
I'll do a poll.
Okay, you'll do the poll. Let's see. Actually, he's got the colors. You've got the colors mixed, so but it's fine.
We have the colors mixed. What do you mean?
You put number 1 as cream. Number 2 is actually cream.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay. Alrighty, see them coming in. 2, 2, 1, 1.
Let me do the poll.
Well, that's okay. 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. A lot of people are saying 1, 1, 1, and I think that you all mean the cream. Let's go ahead and if you can do the poll. Okay, they said the cream. Okay, because we kind of mixed up the colors there.
Time.
Okay, so we're running out of time. Let's go with the cream. I think you guys are all meaning the cream here. Okay, so let's go to the desk cam because I'm going to show you what is in here. So once you kind of move over all this fuzz that's on here, that's awesome. You're going to see a little band here. And that's what you're going to attach to your beanie. Now, there's all kinds of different ways to attach it, but I'm going to go ahead and just use the yarn that I have here to attach it on here. So I just go ahead and do a little knot. So go ahead and grab your darning needle again. You can kind of put it in here, or you can do it with your hands. I just find it easier to do it with the darning needle. Just go ahead and pull that through. Oop, have to get all the threads here. Let me grab the other one. Okay, now that I've gotten that threaded, I'm just going to go in here Go through one of them. Make sure I pull it all the way through and then just let it dangle. And then you can go ahead and just tie a little knot on here. And let me get that darning needle off. I'll go ahead and tie the knot, and then you're going to want to just secure it. Okay. So tie the little knot here and then just double knot it. And you can always go back and you can just kind of take this and triple knot it. You can go in and with your darning needle and secure it even more if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and take my darning needle and I'm going to take my yarn here, go back inside where I just put in that little hole. So I'm going to go back inside in the top. I'm just going to reach in here and pull on that because I want to make sure that I grab my yarn. So just pull that out here. And then you're going to grab the same thing with the second one. Okay. And we are almost done, guys, promise. Just go ahead and pull that on the top. And then you can reach in and just snip your threads. And then you are done with your beanie. And there you go. So here you are, you've got your beanie. I can go ahead and put it on. And you've got your little beanie on here. And you've got your pom-pom on top. So that is it, guys. That is how you make your beanie. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I know we are out of time, so I'm going to let you guys go because I do need to get to work. But I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves and are able to make a beanie. Let me know if you do. Go ahead and post it on Facebook because I'd really love to see it. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.